Hey guys. Okay, this is the time in the Facebook Live where like you see everyone staring like this. Like, is anybody watching? Is anybody out there? So I'm gonna give it a second. So I can see some people pop up here. Oh, I have one. Maybe that's me. I don't know. I'll give it a few more seconds here. I'm really excited. Okay, I have a couple. I'm gonna go. All right, hi guys. This is Coach Becky, working against gravity, of course. I'm super excited to talk to you today. When I got assigned the Facebook Live, I'm like, what can I talk about? What would I? Oh, hey. I'm saying hi guys. What would I kind of want to know? Maybe if I was new, maybe if I've been in with WAG for a while, what would I want to know about? What would I want to listen to? So I thought, I know that I love to hear how other people are successful, what they do to like stay on point, stay on track, like vacations, how do you survive that? Those kind of things are super important and they really help me when I talk to other people who are really successful with the program. So that's what we're going to do. I want to talk about like how I've been successful, kind of habits that I have that work for me. Granted, not everything that works for me is going to work for everyone else, but that's okay. I want to talk about some kitchen gadgets that what I call are game changers. I'm going to use that word a lot for two reasons. Number one, I like the word. Number two, these are seriously game changers, okay? They've made a big difference like with meal prep and success and all that stuff. So I'm going to get started. I'm really excited. By the way, I'm super passionate about all this stuff that I'm about to talk about. So if you know me, some of you do, I'll get like to talking fast, talking loud, I get really excited. So I'll try to like rein it in a little bit, okay? All right, let's talk about planning. All right, so I know that everybody out there has heard their coach say, plan ahead, right? So planning ahead, we're talking about not only like prepping your food with meal prep, but we want you to log your food in advance. Like there's so many things that you can do ahead of time that not only save you time, but no doubt make you more successful. And one of those things is meal prep. All right. And I can speak to meal prep with being like working outside the home, which was before I was a coach with WAG, I was working full time outside the home. And I can also, talk about it from being working at home because they both have their challenges and they're both unique. So with meal prep, the things that have been game changers, there's the word, that's only the first time I'm going to use it, by the way. If you don't have an Instant Pot, now, let me put a disclaimer out. I'm not saying go out and spend a lot of money, all right? I'm not being like paid by these people, these certain products I use. This is just what I've discovered has really helped me be successful. So that's why I want to share it with you. Instant Pot is one of those things. And I'm not a big recipe person, but the Instant Pot, like for like poultry and all that kind of stuff, vegetables, cooks it so fast. So that has been a game changer, and I'll get into more about that in a minute. So how do you meal prep without like spending your entire Saturday or Sunday doing that? This is what I did. It works for me. Yes, it's going to take about 3 or 4 hours maybe total of your Sunday, but you will be set up for the entire week. Okay. So that's better than like scrambling at night, trying to figure out what you're going to eat. So part of that prepping is not only meal prep, but deciding what you're going to cook. All right. So then you go to the grocery store, you have a plan, get your stuff. We're going to meal prep, and then I'm going to talk about how I'm going to build my log a couple days in advance because that really works for me. It was one less thing for me to think about. So when I talk about meal prep, what I always did was do like big batches of things. So for instance, chicken, turkey, whatever your jam is, you're going to cook that in bulk. So I cooked a lot at one time because we all know, especially as women, it seems like we get prescribed a lot of protein. Yeah. And we're not usually used to eating that much protein. So you need to have a lot on hand, good lean protein. When I say lean, like, low fat dairy, chicken, turkey, stuff like that. So I cook my chicken. So either in the Instant Pot, slow cooker is a great item too to have if you don't have an Instant Pot. You can put it on in the morning and it's, done in a couple of hours. So you're going to cook your poultry or whatever. What I always did was I froze half of it, put it in the freezer, and then I put the other half in the fridge. And I would go through what was in the fridge first, right? So that would be like maybe, Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, maybe like Wednesday for lunch. And then on Wednesday morning, I would pull my other pre-cooked chicken out or whatever it was. let it thaw. So by the time I got home on Wednesday night, it was thawed out and ready to go. And then I could prep my food for the rest of the week. All right. So I wasn't necessarily having to cook a lot in the middle of the week, which I don't have time for that. Okay. I don't have the energy for it. I didn't have the time for it. So especially working outside the home. So the more I can get done on Sunday, the better. So let's talk about like starches and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. So what I found best for me was getting some like seasonal vegetables or fresh vegetables or whatever. I roast those. I prefer roasting. I think it tastes so good, right? So I roast those. I usually do like some kind of squash, like butternut squash is one of my go-tos, Brussels sprouts, things like that. I haven't had huge success with a lot of the roasted vegetables being frozen. So generally what I'll do is roast those vegetables, put them in the fridge, and I'll use those like Monday through maybe lunch on Wednesday. By then it's kind of questionable. I don't know. You could maybe eat them Wednesday night or Thursday. That's up to you. But I get a little nervous with that kind of stuff. So it usually only lasts me till about Wednesday. So what do I do after that? Well, I don't want to cook, necessarily. So that's when I rely on steamable vegetables. By the way, if it doesn't stay steamable, I don't buy it. Okay, because I don't have time for that either. So they need to be steamable. All right. All you got to do is pull them out of the freezer. You put them in the microwave for like 4 or 5 minutes, and then you have vegetables for as a side. And there's so many types of frozen vegetables too, so that shouldn't be an issue finding something that you really enjoy. As far as starches go, so sweet potatoes are a go-to for sure. Any kind of potato, those can go in the Instant Pot and be ready so quick. So that's another a good reason to throw them in the Instant Pot. I also haven't had good success freezing the potatoes. They get a little watery, but you can, if you put them in the fridge, they'll last a couple of days, or they might last better in the freezer if like they're like chunks or circles, something like that, but not as a whole sweet potato. I haven't had success with that. And there's nothing worse than going to spend a ton of money on food, meal prepping it, and then having to throw it out. So, but things like rice, brown rice, white rice, that kind of stuff, you can cook that in bulk and that will freeze really well. So what I do sometimes is eat the sweet potato at the beginning of the week, right, for lunch and dinner or whatever, and then I can pull out the rice, defrost it, and I have my starch for the rest of the week as well. Okay, so let me get back to the gadgets, okay? Again, don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. We've already talked about the Instant Pot, and like I mentioned right when I started, I'm not a huge recipe person just because I've always been a fan of just like keeping it really simple. When I started WAG years ago, I think I tried to overcomplicate things. So I preach the same thing to my clients, especially when you're first getting started. We just want you to create the habit of logging and tracking and weighing and all of that kind of stuff. Keep it simple. And then kind of as you get more comfortable with the whole process, because it can be really overwhelming, then you can if you want to get fancy with it, that's fine. So the Instant Pot is great for like I said, chicken. I've done like tenderloins in there, sweet potatoes. If you like hard-boiled eggs, this is what you need to do. If you haven't discovered Skinny Taste, her website, she's amazing. She has cookbooks and everything like that. Everything has nutritional the values listed. It's amazing. And all those recipes are pretty super easy. But that's where I found out how to make the eggs in the Instant Pot. You can literally put like 7 to 9 eggs in the Instant Pot, put it on for 10 minutes, and you have perfectly cooked eggs every time. Plus, when you go to peel them, generally they peel off in nice big chunks instead of having those little crappy little pieces come off a little bit at a time and you just get frustrated and half the egg is peeled off. This doesn't happen with the Instant Pot. So that's a gadget. I've talked about the crock pot. Again, if you don't have an Instant Pot, the crock pot's always a good go-to. You can cook, recipes in there. Chilies are really easy to do in there. The chicken and all that kind of stuff is super easy. Another thing I really like, and I don't know if everyone's heard of it, maybe, I don't know, the Veggie Bullet. So it's this, it's like a spiralizer, but it's electric, and it has this little opening, this little hole at the top, and then you sit it on its base. You put like a zucchini in there. I'm telling you what, a zucchini like this big, I mean, within like 5 seconds, you have zucchini noodles. It's awesome. So if you're a fan of, I guess zoodles is what they call them, or veggie noodles, especially like maybe if you're on a cut or something, you don't have a lot of carbs, and you really want some like spaghetti or some form of pasta. I've done it with zucchini. I tried butternut squash, a little tricky because you have to make the butternut squash in pieces that fit. Anyway, I didn't take time to perfect it, but the Veggie Bullet's awesome. So that's a little bit about how I Meal prepped. If you see me looking to the left, it's because I have my cheat sheet. All right, I don't have a weird twitch or anything. I'm just looking at my cheat sheet. So pre-planning, pre-logging, I would meal prep on Sunday, and then I would actually fill up my food log through Wednesday night. And then maybe on Tuesday, I would fill Thursday and Friday. For some, that's too much, and that's okay. But for me, it was one less thing for me to stress about. It was already done. I already knew what I'm going to eat. And again, I do think I keep things pretty simple. Even now, being with WAG collectively about 2.5 years as a client, I still like basically eat my lean protein, my veggie, my salad, and a starch. Like I'm very simple. That's what works for me. I don't get super fancy with it. So some people don't like eating the same things all the time. It just doesn't bother me. So, and that's the beauty of one of the beautiful things about WAG is that you find what works for you, right? So this is what works for me. Maybe you like to get a little fancier with your recipes, and hey, you do you, that's great. Maybe you can cook some for me, but I need the macros on it. Okay, let's talk about being successful, like eating out. Okay, I know when I first started WAG, I was like terrified to eat out. It seemed like such a big stressor, and I find myself like declining invites and things like that. And maybe that's what you need to do until you get like comfortable with the WAG lifestyle, but it's totally doable. You can do this. So here is what I do. All right. I'll admit it. I'm the girl who calls ahead to the restaurant. All right. And I talk to them and I ask them questions. I ask them about how their meat's prepared. I ask them about how their sides are prepared. Are they prepared in advance, or are they prepared when I order them? And if so, could I order them without butter and oil? Same thing with like chicken, because grilled chicken breast is usually my go-to at a restaurant. I ask them if they can cook it with either no butter or oil or limited butter and oil. I asked about, can I substitute this side for maybe this side or something like that? And you'd be surprised how accommodating restaurants are. Again, I'll be honest, sometimes I've said I have a food intolerance. That's not true. But sometimes it's easier than kind of explaining why I'm asking all these very specific questions. But sometimes I'll say, hey, I'm on a, pretty specific diet plan or lifestyle plan or whatever, and I just have some questions about the menu. And they're usually really good about it. If you don't want to call, like maybe that's too much. Almost every restaurant has a Facebook page. I just like send them a message on Messenger and say, hey, kind of the same thing. Like, I have a question about your menu. How many ounces is your chicken generally? Some people aren't comfortable bringing the travel scale. I do bring mine with me, but I usually estimate now. I've just kind of have an eye for it. It's a little bit easier now, but I still sometimes bring my travel scale just in case something's questionable. And I just feel better knowing I could wait if I needed to. But the thing is too, restaurants are usually not like throwing things together willy-nilly. Like they're weighing things themselves because, they have X number of pounds of chicken, for example, and they know they need to cook X number of, pounds in order to feed the people at the restaurant. So generally they have an idea of how much chicken they're going to use for whatever, or how much, broccoli they put as a side. So they're pretty good about letting you know, hey, most restaurants are able to tell me, hey, the fish of the day is this, and it's, 4 ounces or whatever. So don't be afraid to ask. Like, they'll usually be really accommodating. I always, unless like something strange has happened, bring my own salad dressing. Okay. I generally always start my meal with the salad. I always ask what comes on the salad first. So usually it's like cheese, croutons, bacon. I don't need all that stuff, and I don't want to sacrifice my fats for that. So I'll always say, no cheese, no croutons, no bacon, or whatever. But I bring my own dressing because dressings are just like, hey, dressings are just full of fat. All right, full of fat. So literally I have this like container. Hopefully you can see it okay. It was like from the dollar store. There's like a stack of them. So I weigh my dressing out, and I put it in a Ziploc baggie. Baggies are life, by the way. It's lifesavers. Put it in a baggie, and I throw it in my purse. And even if I needed to, I could totally chunk this when I was done. I mean, it's not a big deal. They're super cheap. But I try to be kind of like sly when I put my dressing on, because some restaurants are kind of weird about bringing outside food. But as long as you like do it like on the DL a little bit, no one even really notices. I've also been known, for example, we have this local pizza place. that has this huge salad, and you can get like all these like raw pizza toppings on it. It's amazing. But I don't necessarily want to eat their chicken that they prepare in all their butter and oil and stuff. So I've actually brought a baggie of chicken before and plopped it right on my salad, and I plopped my dressing on there, and it was amazing. It was so good, and no one said anything, and no one really even noticed. So it's not a big deal. Oh, another big thing. If you can, depending on who you're eating with, don't, when they ask you, like, do you want bread or do you want chips and salsa? I always say no, okay? Because even as a coach, we are human, okay? And it's always going to be more difficult with like a bowl of chips in front of you to not eat them. If they're not in front of me and I don't see them, it's like, oh, I don't even want those. Even if you're reaching for the chips, you're like, do I even want those? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of hungry, but my food's going to be here. I ordered the salad. But we find ourselves just like eating without purpose. So I try to always say no to the bread, no to the chips. If I'm with people, that choose to have the bread and the chips, maybe they can move it closer to them, all right? My friends and family are like over it. They know how I am and how I roll with eating out. So I'm not worried about that or hurting anyone's feelings. And I'll get to that too in a minute. Appetizers too, boy, they can really put a dent in your numbers, even if it's just like, oh, I'm just going to have this one thing of yours. So be careful of that and be cognizant of that. I just want to touch like a tiny bit. How am I on time? Okay, good. I got to keep moving here. Okay, a tiny bit on traveling, okay? When I worked outside the home, I did travel for work, and it would be at a week at a time sometimes. Generally flying, which puts a whole nother element into like, how do I stay successful when I'm traveling and I'm flying and I can't bring, I don't have my food in my car. So game changer. All right. I think that's only like the third time I've used that word. I expected to say it a lot more. It doesn't matter. A soft shell Yeti. Have you heard of these? They're amazing. Are they expensive? Yes. However, they will keep your food cold for hours. So here's what I did. I bought a food saver. So those are those little resealable, you get the plastic bags and it seals it, right? I bought that. I got the Yeti. And on Sunday, when I was meal prepping anyway, right? I mean, I'm going to be meal prepping anyway. I'm going to be preparing my meals. So this was no different. It was just a little more work, a little more planning than usual. I cooked, prepped, and sealed my breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the entire week. So that was 5 days worth. I froze it all. I threw it in my soft shell Yeti with ice packs, frozen ice packs. You can't get the security unless everything's frozen or in the solid state. They won't let you, most of you have probably found that out one way or another. Like if you have yogurt, that's not going through. So everything needs to be in a frozen state. And I went through security. They didn't even open it. It was stuffed with 5 days worth of food. Okay, they didn't even open it. But it counted as my, you get your carry-on plus a personal item or whatever. Well, that was my carry-on. And I'm here to tell you, it fits in the overhead bin because I took it and it worked. And so when I got to my hotel, I put everything in the fridge. That allowed it to thaw out. I had a microwave in my room, and that trip was really successful, and it felt so good that I was in control of my food. Because, I was surrounded by people who never exercised, never worried about what they ate, where they ate, how they ate it. I mean, they didn't care. I was the only one in the group that, had goals and was aware, my nutrition, and it was important to me. So the more I could stay in control, that's the other thing I've learned to be successful. The more I can stay in control of my food in my situation, then I have less anxiety, and then therefore I can be more successful. And if you're not like over the top like me with packing the Yeti for 5 days worth of food, that's okay. Not everyone's as compulsive as me. You do you, but the same theory can still work for like weekends away at the lake, or, you're meeting up with friends for a weekend, in a cat, whatever you're doing, it can still work for that, whether you're driving or flying. Sometimes we allow these like outside kind of factors to be a barrier to our success. And the reality is we choose to be successful or not. That's the other thing I've learned. Okay. You got to take ownership of that. I could have easily said, well, I'll be gone for 5 days and oh man, I have no idea where we're going to eat. And these people don't care about what they eat. I guess I'll just kind of like wing it. And some people can wing it and be very successful. I am not usually one of those people. So I knew that wasn't going to work for me, and I wasn't going to allow someone else to kind of have control over whether my week was successful or not. I have control over that. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't believe so much time has passed. Okay, so I just want to like close with a few things to kind of keep into the pattern of like things that have been successful for me and what I've learned along my WAG journey. Ask questions. Okay, don't be afraid to be your own advocate. These are your goals, your journey. Stand up for yourself and your goals. No one else is going to, right? If you really want to be successful, it's going to be a choice and you have to choose to. Don't apologize for your goals. Did I say that just now? I'm going to say it again. Don't apologize for your goals. You're making big life changes, all right? We have big goals. That takes dedication. It takes time. It takes practice. You know, one example is when I used to go out to eat and I was so stressed about it. Okay. And so I would like be like, oh, let me order first because I'm kind of complicated, you know, or I would start my order to the waiter or waitress and I would say, well, sorry, I'm a little complicated, or like, this is a little much, but now I'm like, no, this is what I want. I want the grilled chicken, no butter, no oil. I want a side of broccoli, no butter, no oil. Now they may say we can't do that, and I'm not going to get up and leave, and that's okay. And I always factor in a little bit extra in my day if I know I'm going out to eat in case something like that happens. But my point is, I'm not apologizing anymore for my goals. I know what I want, and I know how I want to be successful, and if I want to get there, I'm going to have to do the work. And part of the work is being honest with people, letting people know kind of like, this is what I want. The big thing is that you are in control. All right. So sometimes some of my clients, hi guys, if you're watching, I have a little tough love sometimes. I know I have to have a little, like I said, a tough love session and be like, look, you are in control, right? Your food's not in control. Your family's not in control. Your circumstances aren't in control. Yes, do we have things we can't control? 100% absolutely. But we have so many things we can control. All right. So we need to focus on those and, you know, not make excuses for not being able to be successful and put that on something else. At the end of the day, as your coach, all right, and as the other coaches at WAG, we give you knowledge, we give you guidance, like we give you tools, but really what you do with all that stuff is up to you, right? So you're the one who has to do the work. And the last thing, this is the very last thing. So words from my wise mother, okay? Mothers are always right, by the way, okay? They really are. So she's an amazing mom. She's super wise. So as growing up, I remember, you know, if I'd come to her with a problem or if I needed something, or if I wasn't sure like what I wanted to do in a certain situation, I would ask, you know, talk to her about it. And we'd, you know, ask questions and she'd ask questions. And she would always kind of end the conversation with, okay, so do you have what you want? And generally the answer was, well, no, I don't, because that's why I'm talking to you about it. You know, I don't have what I want. Well, she's like, you have two options. You either change what you want or you change what you're doing. I was like, the first time she said it, I was like, oh my gosh, my mind's blown, because how simple is that? But oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. She's so right. So for an example, like, okay, so your goal, what you want is to lose weight, right? Again, that's not everyone's goal, but say that's your goal. So I'm going to ask you, well, I mean, are you getting what you want? Do you have what you want? Are you losing weight? If the answer is no, then what I would say was, all right, well, either change what you want. So do you really want to lose weight? Is that really your goal? Or change what you're doing in order to be successful, right? So, you know, make different decisions, make better choices, you know, plan a little bit better. Those little small habits that we do every single day that seem seemingly small really add up to big changes in our lives, yeah? And in closing, I just want you to know that here at WAG are the best coaches in the whole wide world, that we truly care about every single one of you, and we want you to succeed, and we love what we do. So thank you so much for watching, all right? And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.